Hey, welcome back to Dolly Cooks. I'm Dolly, and on this show we cook. In the first episode, we made oatmeal bread, and we're going to be baking something sweet again today. We're going to be making a pumpkin roll. And here's the thing. It's mid September, fall is in the air. I want to get the apples and the pumpkins out, and so I'm just in a baking mood. Um, I've just done a workout, put on some makeup, did my hair because I'm having friends over for a dinner party later. After I make this pumpkin roll for my mother-in-law tomorrow, I'm actually going to start making a lobster pie for the dinner that I'm hosting tonight. But that's not the recipe we're here for. So, pumpkin roll is absolutely one of my favorite fall desserts. You get pumpkin, the presentation's very pretty because it's all rolled up. Cream cheese icing is always a win. And I like it as well because the presentation is very pretty and it looks like you did something quite difficult, but it's actually not that hard. And that's part of why I wanted to do it for this video because I feel like it can be intimidating to do a jelly roll kind of thing when in fact it's pretty simple. So a couple of things I've already done. One, the oven is preheating to 375 degrees. And last night before I went to bed, I took out my eggs. You need 3 for this recipe. I took out my butter, which we'll need for the cream cheese icing. And I took out cream cheese, which we'll also need for the icing. I'm going to start by mixing the eggs and sugar and then mixing the dry ingredients. We'll combine it and we'll get the pumpkin cake into the oven. So 3 eggs. And again, gonna use my little extra bowl here. I told you last time I recently encountered a bad egg and it was pretty traumatizing. It was really, really gross and stinky. Don't want that to happen again. Don't let it happen to you. Use a separate bowl. Okay. So you can do this in a mixer if you want, but it's not necessary. Before I add the sugar in, though, I am going to whisk the egg pretty vigorously. And the reason I'm doing that is to sort of like break down all the proteins in the eggs, not necessarily to make it fluffy, but just to get the egg really, really, really smooth. I know we're baking, but this is also an important step if you're scrambling eggs or making an omelet. I find that people often don't whisk the eggs enough, and that's where you get like white stringy parts in your scrambled eggs in your omelet. But if you do a really good job whisking the eggs first and getting them like super, super well combined into one texture, you don't have that problem. They should be pale yellow and very smooth and liquidy. So to this, I'm going to add a cup of sugar, white granulated sugar. Okay, this is a third of a cup. Just checking so I know how to do math over here. Thank you for your service, sugar. All right, so now I'm mixing the sugar into the egg, getting that really well combined as well. Fab. Now, why am I reaching for powdered sugar? That's a really, really good question. I was looking for vanilla. A teaspoon or more. Measure it with your heart. Okay, so those are our liquid ingredients. Now I'm going to quickly mix together our dry ingredients. So you need 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. I just got new flour, so my container is quite full. Okay, so that's 3/4 of a cup. You're also going to add half a teaspoon each of baking powder and baking soda. This is a 1/4 teaspoon liquid, that's why I just put 2 in. Math, I'm a math girl. I can measure. Sometimes. I did not pop this lid off in advance, so you're gonna have to see me struggle. There we go. And a half teaspoon of baking soda. Again, 1/4 teaspoon measure, so we're doing 2. Pinch of salt. And then you're going to go in with a teaspoon of cinnamon. You're also going to hit it with a teaspoon of ginger. And then you're going to do like an 1/8 teaspoon of cloves and nutmeg. Cloves and nutmeg are quite strong, so a little goes a long way. Vincent doesn't really like cloves, but I do. So they're going in. And he'll eat it. It's funny. So those are the dry ingredients. And then you're just going to zhuzh it all up so that the spices are incorporated in the flour and your baking soda and your baking powder too. It smells amazing. We just effectively made pumpkin spice, right? So it smells really, really good. And then all you're going to do, come back to the sugar and eggs and vanilla over here, right? And we're going to combine these two. Last of the flour. Get that mixed in. I prefer hand mixing things like this because it makes it harder to overmix, whereas in an electric mixer or a stand mixer, it's very easy to overmix something, but doing it by hand, you're gonna be fine. So it is a pumpkin roll. So now we're gonna fold in, that is the wrong measuring cup. Now we're gonna fold in 2/3 of a cup of pumpkin. And it's not gonna be anywhere near the whole can, but you can freeze it and we'll use it later in the season. Yeah, I use my hands to make them. They're clean, don't worry. All right, and now we're just gonna, again, give the pumpkin a quick little stir in, fold in, and now it's orange, just like it should be. And so that's the batter. Now we need to get it into the pan. So here's what happens. Here's how that's gonna happen. You're going to need a baking sheet. And you're gonna need some parchment paper. spray it or grease it with butter. I'm going to use avocado oil. And we're ready to rock and roll here. Now, you can tell that this is going to be very thin because it's going to be rolled up, and it only needs to bake like 10, 12-ish minutes. I'll probably start checking in at around 8 minutes. Unfortunately, I am going to dirty another thing. I'm going to grab a spatula and just push this out to our edges here. Okay. I think that's good. It's very, very thin. It's supposed to be. Into the oven, 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to start checking in at 8. See you soon. So a lot has happened while the cake has been baking. As I went to clean up from baking the batter, I broke a jar of chili crisp in my pantry and have been cleaning that up. So regardless, I'm in a really great mood right now. Stuff happens, and we clean it up, and we put a smile on our face. So I'm about to take the cake out. You want one of those good, like 100% cotton dish towels, not the kind that you like use to dry your hands with, but the kind that's meant for like cooling cakes and whatnot. And you should never wash these with like fabric softener or dryer sheets because then your food is going to taste like laundry. So when you wash these, be careful to use like a scent-free detergent and then don't add anything extra. Otherwise, your cake is going to taste like fresh linen or whatever the scent is. I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit of confectioner's sugar over this just to help keep the cake from sticking. Because we're going to roll it up in here. So let me get the cake out and we'll do this. This one actually did go about 12 minutes and she's looking really good. So I've removed it from the pan. It's still on the parchment paper. So now what I'm actually going to do is quickly, and with a lot of just courage and gumption, flip this onto the towel. Did it! Okay, so the cake is all rolled up. She's here. And now what we have to do is let it cool, all rolled up like this. So it does take a little bit of time for it to cool. You might notice I have not made the icing yet. There's no need to because this has to cool first anyway, and I'll just make it right before I unroll this to put the icing in. See you back in a bit when this is all cool. So the pumpkin roll is just about cooled, and so I'm going to make the cream cheese icing. I've got half a stick of room temperature butter in here. I am bringing out the stand mixer for this just because it makes it so much easier. So electric mixer, stand mixer if you have one. Otherwise, you're going to get a workout. 6 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. Again, I took this out last night. Okay. A little bit of vanilla. I'm going to start letting that whip up together, and then I'm going to add in a cup of confectioner's sugar. So adding in a cup of confectioner's sugar. Start with half. Go ahead and add the other half. It's looking pretty good. It's tasting pretty good. I love cream cheese icing. One of my faves. All right, I'm just gonna give it a little last whip in here. Let that hang out there. All right. One thing about me in the kitchen is there's going to be a mess. Always, always, just like me. I also just realized why I can't see. I took my glasses off. Oops. So we're gonna unroll this. And now you're gonna spread the cream cheese. Over the entire thing. It's going to end up being pretty thin. I'm going to switch to a different kind of spatula than this. And the thing too is that like if a little bit of crumb gets picked up as you're spreading this, it's actually like really not a big deal. Because this is all going to be on the inside. It gets rolled up. It's going to be fine. So you're going to keep spreading. Trust the process. You can see I'm almost there, getting there. It is a very thin layer. Almost. Let me come and grab a little bit more here from the bowl if I can get any. We did it. Again, it doesn't have to be super sexy right now because this is all going to get rolled up and it's not going to be visible. Great. Now we are going to roll it back up without the towel this time. This is where having the sugar helps you a little bit. Just roll it very carefully. You might lose just a little thin layer of crumb. It's really okay, I promise. This is a homemade dessert. And there she is. Let me grab a serving dish for her and get her cleaned up. Okay. Here she is. Rolled up on a platter. Platter always looks better. This towel obviously needs to be washed. And you can sprinkle at the top of it with powdered sugar if you want. It's just for decoration, and quite frankly, I usually don't do it because the cake is really sweet as it is, and it just doesn't need the extra sugar, even if it makes it look a little bit fancy. I'm going to trim the ends, and that's going to be the part that I'm going to try for you right now. Yum. So again, I'm eating the ends, but it's going to be delicious. I mean, pumpkin, cream cheese, fall spices. There's nothing not to love here. Always dance when we try something delicious. I do like trimming the ends off like I just did. One, chef's treat, but two, I just think it makes it look a little nicer, and then you can see the cream cheese on the inside. So I'm gonna let this continue to sit at room temperature for like 45 minutes, an hour. Then I'm gonna cover it with cellophane and pop it in the fridge until I bring it to my mother-in-law's tomorrow. Thank you for baking with me. We broke some chili crisp in our pantry. You didn't see it, but I had to clean it up while I was doing this. But here we are at the end of this video, and I'm still smiling, and I hope that you'll keep coming back to watch me be an absolute mess, but I really do know what I'm doing, and these things really do taste good. And I think you know that too. Bye!